Hello, I'm Owen Hook, a graduating senior here at Emmaus High School for the class of 2021. And this is my message for current and upcoming ninth grade students here at Emmaus High School. What you need to do is carve your own path. It doesn't matter what other people think, it's all about you. What you want to do, go ahead and take chances, not risks. Stepping outside of your comfort zone is hard, I know, but practice makes more practice, and eventually it'll make perfect. Once you carve your own path, you're all set.
Welcome, everybody, to this episode of the Ninth Grade Experience podcast. I'm your host, Chris Stuchko. Today is our first full episode in season 4, so we're excited to be coming back and bringing full episodes to you again. In this episode, we are going to take one last look back. We have a senior throwback from the class of 2021 featuring Owen Hook, who gave us an interview right before he graduated there in June. He was a member of the game club, so we talked to him at the end of game club, and he gave us some great information about his senior year and about his transition to Emmaus High School. So that's a great one to listen to, especially if you are coming to Emmaus High School for the first time this year from outside of the district. Owen came to Emmaus High School as a freshman, and he hadn't been in the district before. So Owen gives lots of great information, and you would have seen him in the preview episode of season 4 as well, too, if you had a chance to see that. Also, at the end of the episode, we're going to take a look back at some of our reflections from 2021, the year that passed. We had 41 or over 40 different freshmen respond to a message board at the end of the school year, answering some questions about their school year, what it was like, what did they get out of the school year, what did they learn about themselves, tips for upcoming ninth graders, which is always a great segment of the show, and future episode ideas that we can focus on here on the ninth grade experience. So hopefully you enjoy this episode. We're going to start coming back with more regular episodes as we move towards this school year. So again, you can have all those episodes at ninthgradeexperience.com. You can subscribe on Apple Podcast or on Spotify or anywhere where you can get podcasts. And you can also view us on our YouTube channel as well, too. You can follow us on Instagram at Ninth Grade Experience. And that's a great spot to get all the information about the show. So we're going to go now and listen to Owen's interview. And then the second part of the episode will be our reflection back on the year of 2020, 2021. So enjoy this episode, and we look forward to talking with you at the end of the episode. All right, everyone. So we're here with Owen Hook, another one of our 2021 EHS graduates here who wanted to give some words of wisdom to our upcoming and current freshmen. So Owen, thanks a lot for taking some time out here to talk to us.
Anytime. Thank you for having me.
So Owen and I go way back. I think I knew Owen when he first came into the district here 4 years ago. And then I'm the advisor of Game Club here, and which is Owen's been a part of for all 4 years here at Emmaus High School. So Owen, what are some things that you kind of look back on your time here at Emmaus High School and look and think about that you were a part of that you thought were really beneficial for you?
Well, when I was in ninth grade, I had just moved to the district and I really wanted to try to fit in because I didn't really know anyone and I had moved from another place, so I was starting back at square one. So I wanted to try to fit in a lot, but I realized that wasn't really the right thing to do for myself. So after a while, I just realized that I need to run my own path. I need to do what I want to do and not try to fit in. And so I started trying to do my own thing, so to speak.
So when you came in ninth grade, and I know you started a little bit into that beginning of the freshman year, what was that like for you, kind of coming in as a ninth grader, not really knowing anybody, and like you said, trying to fit in? What was that like for you?
Honestly, it was a little intimidating because I didn't know anybody in the district. Like I said, I had moved from one district to another, so it was a little intimidating. Plus, I do have autism. I'm high functioning, luckily, and I have autism, so it makes it a little harder for me to step outside my comfort zone because I have to deal with things such as anxiety and other stuff.
So what was there something you did during your freshman year or something you would recommend to freshmen that maybe have similar things going on to what you have going on that you would recommend to them on how to step out of your comfort zone and to get more involved in the school community?
Yes, I would. So it may take some time to step out of your comfort zone, but you just have to get used to it. If you want to gradually step out of it, then try practicing a little bit. And if you want to reach out right away, then that's fine. And all I'm going to say is do what makes you happy. Like I found game club in ninth grade and I really love playing games. So I just decided straightforward to go for game club and I really loved it. I've been doing it all 4 years and it's been a really good experience. Even when everything shut down, we were still able to hold the club and it was really fun.
So is that if you could recommend like one thing for freshmen to do, or for any student for that matter, to feel more comfortable, what would you recommend that they do?
Um, I would recommend like try taking some chances and stepping outside of your comfort zone. It's not good to take risks, but it is good to take chances. And you got to do what you want to do in high school. Don't feel obligated by what other people are doing. Do what makes you happy, not what makes others. It's all about you.
That is great advice. And especially as somebody that's a graduating senior here in the next couple of days, like when you leave high school, you may have some of your friends that you made during high school still with you, but for the most part, you're going to be kind of out on your own. So that's kind of good advice. So what do you have coming up in the future for yourself here, Owen? Or where are you heading off to college? You going into the workforce? What are you going to be doing?
I will be going to college.
And where are you going?
I'm attending Millersville University in Millersville, Pennsylvania.
So, what do you think that experience will be like? You were obviously a freshman here at Emmaus High School, but what will that freshman experience do you think will be like at college? And how do you think the two will compare?
I feel like in college, it'll be a little bit easier to get around as a freshman because I'll know the basics of being able to step outside my comfort zone. As as I found out, as we age, we begin to mature a lot easier. And I've already realized that I need to do what I need to do for myself and not try to make others happy. It's all about what I want to do.
And
But
that's good.
yeah, in college, I think I'm going to take more chances and I'm going to talk to people and go to some clubs.
That's cool. And that's really awesome advice for everybody that's out there listening, kind of trying out there, stepping outside your comfort zone. So, anything else you wanted to leave with the listeners of the ninth grade experience, or anything else you wanted to share about your time here at Emmaus High School?
Yes, grades are what you make of them. For me, ninth grade was pretty enjoyable. I tried to fit in at first, but then I realized I had to create my own path. And eventually I created my own path and it took me down a very good path.
So at the end of the 2021 school year, we put a message board up on the class of 2024 Schoology page, asking students to respond back to 4 different questions to give us some insight on how their freshman year went. And we asked people to come on the podcast, but we didn't get any people that wanted to come on and record. So they answered lots of questions on the message board and gave lots of great responses. Normally in the past, we would read through each response. But this year, we're going to just kind of try to consolidate that, go through some of the big themes and address some of the different questions. So our first question that we're going to answer is, how was your ninth grade experience and how did it differ from what you imagined? So one person we'll quote directly here is Anna Price. In her response, Anna wrote, in 8th grade, we just thought we were getting an extra long spring break, but it turned into over a year and it probably won't end soon is what she said. So here we are. It's near the end of the summer, getting ready to go into the 2021-2022 school year. And we're still kind of waiting it all out to see what's going to happen. But some of the things that people said about their ninth grade year was they obviously thought it would have been better in the building. So again, not being able to come into the building at all for some people during their entire freshman year means this year in their sophomore year, they'll be coming into the building for the first time. Some people said it wasn't the best. They struggled toward the end of the year, and there was a lot of that getting to the finish line, students struggled. And that's no different than any other year where we kind of sometimes we start off strong and then we struggle towards the end. One positive was not getting up at 6 a.m., which was pretty awesome. A lot of people said they didn't like it because of distance learning. They just didn't like not being around their friends. They were hoping to get to go to school every day with siblings. And the one person that responded to that was Victoria Toto, who was on one of our episodes earlier in the school year. She said that her 9th grade year was definitely not what she pictured it to look like. She expected to go in to school and be in activities and was really hoping to go to school with her brother for his senior year and drive to school together every day. And her brother was actually a guest on the podcast as well too last year, talking about the investment club. So both Totos were on the podcast last year. Some other thoughts about how their year went. We had one student that talked about how tough it was because they transferred in the middle of the year and they were never in the building. So imagine that you came to a brand new high school and you never step foot in the building. So that's kind of intriguing to know a new district, at least. And some of you were in a middle school where you got a chance to at least know some of the people. Some people thought it was very isolating. They never knew the impact of being around others. And that comes up a lot in some of our other questions that are later on. One of the other things that people said was that they didn't get to see people as often, not as many school events to look forward to. They were surprised that they were going to be online for the entire time. They thought at some point we would go back. The high school, as you all are aware, never went back full time like the elementary schools did. Some said they were bored. It was boring, but not horrible. They were nervous, but it's something you got used to quickly. They tried to manage everything, was hard: jobs, schools, mental health, and friendships. And that mental health piece is something that we're going to hear a lot of, and things that people learned about themselves, and also things that they want us to focus on the podcast in the future. And two that I want to end with for this little mini section here is some people were more forgiving than they thought that they were. So again, maybe not being that perfectionist self that they thought. And the last one we want to highlight here is some students said they still had opportunities to make memories. And you will definitely remember your freshman year of high school as being a crazy first year. So that was some responses to the first question: how was your 9th grade experience? And like many things, it varied from person to person. The second question students responded to was, what did they learn about themselves throughout the course of the year? So students had a lot of time for self-reflection. They had a lot of time to figure out things that they were good at, things that they needed to improve on. A lot of the answers revolved around kind of figuring things out as they kind of went through high school. So we'll share some of the general responses and some direct responses from some of the students here. So a lot of people talked about their ability to time manage and to become not as much of a procrastinator. So that was a big one for a lot of people. So Noe Yang, who I had in science class this year, said, "I realize there's no right way to do things, and you shouldn't live with too much regret, because what you did in the past was the best possible option for you to do at the time. So don't dwell too much on your mistakes and just try to grow and be kind to others." And that being kind to others, and especially yourself, was a big piece of the year as well, because we were all in this unique situation together. Some other thoughts where it was taught how to manage time and be more independent. Under stress, things can get done more quickly. Some students talked about that they worked harder than they thought they were capable of before. One of the people that kind of said something along those lines as well too was Emma Mannion, who I also had in a science class, said that she learned that she has to work really hard for what she wants. And I think that was a common theme from a lot of students as well, figuring out that if they want to be successful in things, you have to put in the work, because last year was a year where you had to put in a lot of the work on your own. Some other things that people said, that they can't just sit at home and learn from bed, that they wanted to be part of a more social environment. And that's, it's one thing you could definitely learn. So when you're in school, to take advantage of those learning opportunities as well. Some students talked about reigniting old passion areas, astronomy, ancient history, and these things where you had a little bit more time to maybe learn outside of the school day. So that was one that kind of came up a lot. Persistence through procrastination. So kids were talking a lot about that they had to really work hard to get through that. Some people learned that they were very competitive. They wanted to be part of the school building. They liked that, working against other people in their classes and other stuff like that. Some people learned that they wanted to be a little bit more outgoing, and that they learned that they got a lot more confidence in their own abilities and what they had done throughout the year. Lillian Hurley responded in saying, "You don't always need to have your friends with you in order to be successful or confident." And I think that's a good one as well too. Even though some people figured out that they wanted to be more social, I think a lot of people figured out that they can do as well as they can on their own as well. If you're not lazy, you get more things done. That's what somebody learned about themselves. Balance responsibilities, side projects, and still have a lot of time to relax, or time to relax is a big one. They wanted to make sure that they found that right balance out there as well too. One thing that people learned about themselves that I thought was a good one was that sometimes you need help, and finding the right people to stay out of trouble. So it's not only help inside the classroom, but finding the right people to associate yourself with, which is important to be able to do to be successful. And we're going to close this section out with a message from Savannah Spangler, who said, "I learned that it's okay to have time periods in your life when everything isn't thriving, but to take care of myself and push through those situations is also very important." So I think that's a great lesson that you can be carried on throughout all of the time that you're in school, is that, there may be times when things are hard or things don't go your way. But I think this year, more than any other year, we saw when things don't go your way and how you can be in charge of those things as well too, to make those the best that you can be. So the third question we asked students to respond to, and they gave lots and lots of great answers for this one, were tips for our upcoming 9th grade students. This is something that we sprinkle in almost every episode of the podcast, whether we're talking to students, teachers, administrators, people outside of our building, people inside of our building. So we're always looking to find tips for our 9th grade students that will help them to be the most successful that they can be. Overall, the number one tip that was given by our 9th graders from last year were to do the work when it is assigned. I put check marks next to how many times that was noted, and I am counting 11 responses out of the over 40 people that responded. About a quarter of them gave that specific one. So I think a lot of people learned this year that when you get work, that if you do it in a timely fashion, that you can really kind of stay on top of things and be able to do the best job that you can do. One of the things that somebody wrote here, Mason Butts, put in was, "Some tips I have for next year's 9th graders are to really just try your best and always pay attention, because if you don't, you will be lost and not understand anything on a test or homework. Always be on time, whether it's online or in person, and make sure you're always prepared for class." So that ties a lot of those things together. Well, some of the other big tips that students gave was getting involved with clubs and activities, which is one of the hallmarks of our podcast here. As we talk about ways to get involved at the school, we talk about different organizations. So hopefully you can listen to that and figure out all the different things we have here at Emmaus High School. And we'll focus a lot of that early in the school year to get you knowledgeable about things you can get involved with here. One of the other things, and we talked about this in the previous section, was asking for help when you need it. That's a big one. It's a really important skill to learn as a 9th grader and as an adult, is just to make sure that you are asking for help when you need it, whether it's in the hallway trying to find somewhere, or whether it is on an academic subject, making sure you get that help that you need. One thing that people said is to make sure you're paying attention and trying your hardest. That one came up multiple times as well too. Trying to see here. Yeah, so that was one of the things that came up, making sure that you're staying on top of things, paying attention and trying your hardest, which is important for all students to be able to do. Let's see, some of the other things here were being prepared for class, be prepared for anything. So not only that, do the homework, focus on due dates. And one of the things that goes along with that is from Angelina Anderson, saying, "If I had tips for next year's 9th graders, it would be to have a planner. I've used a planner all this year to help me keep track of assignments, and it's been extremely useful. I think it'll definitely be useful with the AB block schedule being introduced next year, which we'll talk about on a future episode coming up." And she said this year she thinks she learned a lot with different stuff going on. So Angelina's good tip there about using a planner. So hopefully we can figure out a way for you to keep track of all those different assignments and things that you have, maybe even using an app on your phone. Staying focused during the school day and getting your work done early so you have the rest of your day was an important one, especially when people were home. I think people let work slide, and I remember seeing stuff coming in at midnight, but they weren't doing the work during the day. So making sure you get things done so that you can have a regular schedule. Keep on trying new things was another tip that people gave. Lots of other tips here. Don't worry about making friends right away. There are many opportunities to make friends. The work is more challenging, so to make sure you're staying on top of that as well too. Finding that balance. There were so many things that came up about mental health and balance. And I'm going to read one of you here from Brittany Cordero saying, balance your schoolwork and your personal life. Although grades are important, your health and well-being should always come first. So that's a crucial one there. So much talk this past year about mental health, making plans, making sure that you're, keep taking care of yourself. And that's not going to change when we now move into being back at school. Some other things real quick about some other tips were time management skills and study habits, not having to take it all during your freshman year. So I know a lot of you have schedules that are already done, but you don't have to take every class your freshman year. Not being burnt out. I think that goes along with that too. And choosing your friends wisely, which came up in the last section as well too. But those are all some tips about making sure that you're finding the right people to kind of associate with. And our last tip here from Mildred Thompson says, and this one comes with the question that always comes. And now that since we'll be back in the building, hopefully people are like, I'm going to get lost. I don't know where to go. Once you figured out your directions to class, it's kind of like riding a bike. You won't forget, just use landmarks in the hallway. So hopefully you're coming on some of those days where we have orientation, or you can tour around the building to learn your way around. And again, you pick it up pretty easily. And even for our coming in sophomores that haven't been in the building, they'll have a chance to learn the building as well too. So there's going to be a lot of people this year that have not been in the high school. So they're all attempting to learn where they're going to be going. So those are some great tips, and we'll talk more about those as the year goes on in different episodes. And I'm sure students we talk to and everyone else, adults, staff, counselors will all give us lots of great tips for an awesome ninth grade year. And the last question we had students address in our end of the year survey was, what are some future episode ideas that we can focus on here on the ninth grade experience? And we always like hearing what students want to hear about as we move forward. And there were lots of great suggestions. They want to hear more about sports and athletics and activities, which is one of the things that we talk a lot about. We talk about how to get through this school year and just dealing with all the different things, technology pieces. And we did a pretty awesome 2-part episode last year with our technology integration specialist. And we'll have to reach out to some more tech people as we enter the school year with different stuff here. Accomplishments of ninth graders to show what is possible. That's one of the great things about our podcast is we really like to show everybody what ninth graders are capable of and what they can do. It's one of the reasons why we started the podcast, because ninth graders are doing awesome stuff. So we definitely want to keep focusing on that. Awareness about clubs and accomplishments throughout the building, which is cool. Organization, studying, motivation, and self-awareness are definitely topics that students have asked about, and we will try to find people, whether it's students or other experts, on those things that can help to make your ninth grade year a little bit easier. Some other things students have asked about or wanted to look at was definitely that mental health piece. So we'll definitely be able to reach out to some of the people within our Emmaus High School community or even outside that will be able to give you some great tips for your ninth grade year and managing all the stress and the mental health and all those things that go along with it. And another student responded that they wanted to see more senior reflections, and we're going to try to incorporate more of those. If you've been listening to some of the ones at the end of last school year, we're hearing from a lot of our seniors, and in our preview episode that was released last week, we focused on advice from seniors that graduated in 2021. And if you listen to the beginning part of this podcast, you heard from Owen Hook, who is one of our seniors from last year, who was in the preview episode, and he got the full episode treatment at the beginning of this episode here. And I like the last suggestion here from a student was that he wanted to learn or hear about the mysteries of life. So I don't know if the ninth grade experience will be able to tell you all of the mysteries of life, but we will continue to focus on bringing relevant topics about your ninth grade year to youth all throughout the year, talking to people that will be able to help you through and to be able to get you moving in the right direction here during your ninth grade year. So I want to thank the 40 plus students that took the time to respond last school year. They're entering their sophomore year now. So hopefully they'll hear some of their stuff here or be quoted on the podcast here. So we're looking forward to a great school year, a great podcast year. We have lots of cool things planned and some interesting things in the works. So hopefully you continue to listen, find those tips. If you want to be involved in the podcast, reach out to me through the ninthgradeexperience.com. There's a contact form. You can leave a voicemail on there by clicking the little blue button. There is a direction video on our website that will allow you to do that. You can follow us on Instagram at Ninth Grade Experience. We have a TikTok as well too. We haven't posted to it yet, but that's one of the new things we're going to do in the new year. So you can follow us on TikTok at Ninth Grade Experience. I'm on Twitter at Chris Dutchko. And for everything Ninth Grade Experience, if you just go to ninthgradeexperience.com, you can reach out there and find all the information about our show, about the website, and about all the different things that we do here. So the beginning of the school year is coming. So we have this nice preview here. We look back a little bit as we continue to look forward. And I hope that everyone's enjoying their summer. And I look forward to seeing you all soon. So have a great rest of your day, everybody.